Welcome to the party.
In our small little corners in the world, it's Johnny and the Greg. And we
Hey,
have with
everybody.
us our guest.
We have Ken Williams with us.
Hey, Ken.
It's Ken.
Hey guys.
Ken is an actor, writer, voiceover artist, educator, and a friend of mine. And you two started to get into it on some what I'd like to call serious topics on the internet.
Yes.
Um,
Guys,
and
we talk
so
about serious
it
topics.
was to the point where I'm like, well, I thought about having Ken on anyway. So this will be a good one.
Yeah.
So here we are. So welcome, Ken.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited. I've been listening to your podcasts, and you guys are fantastic. A little wrong sometimes, but fantastic.
I appreciate that.
What?
That. Thank you.
What was the mattress company? You did a commercial. Was that a regional or was that national?
Verlo was it wasn't national, but it was 6 different locations, 6 different areas. So we were from South Dakota to West Virginia.
There you go.
Cool.
So, but you were I believe clean shaven for that one. So maybe they wouldn't recognize your face, but
I was clean shaven and my hair wasn't quite so long. I wanted to make sure for this podcast I looked as much like Luke Skywalker as possible.
Hey,
Grizzled
real
Mark
quick
Hamill.
about the mattress thing. Ken, I have a theory about mattress stores. I think they are a money laundering thing.
How is
If
that?
you notice, they're at every block, and no one's ever in there. And either it's money laundering for black ops for our government, or it's Pablo Escobar's was getting some of it. I don't know what it is, but they're everywhere, and I don't see anybody in them. What do you
Ever.
think, Ken?
Ever. I agree with you. They're never in there. In fact, we were recording the commercials during the middle of the day, and they didn't have to even close the store because nobody ever came in. And they wouldn't let us in certain rooms. I don't know why, but they just said you can't go in there, or you can go in there, but then you probably won't come out.
Okay. Which is interesting. You brought up the Pablo Escobar because he was like in bed with the government. So yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah,
You just got to find it, guys.
I didn't see any tunnels for Chappie or anything, but who knows?
Well, not only that, you never see them close. They're
No.
never a closeout sale. There's never a clearance
No.
event. Nothing. So
And they like some of them. I mean, they make their own mattresses right there, so they could put whatever they want inside those mattresses, send them out to everywhere, and there's no problems whatsoever. There's nobody's checking those things.
It's a little bumpy. What's wrong with it?
So,
Oh,
guys,
the body.
if we all of a sudden mysteriously vanish, and I'm talking about those that listen, it's because we hit on this topic and they shut us
Yeah.
down. So
I've got a letter of repudiation. I'm okay because I did the commercial. I'm one of them, so I'm good. You guys are in trouble, but I'm good.
all right. Well,
We're
then,
in
Ken, if
trouble.
you could carry on the tradition, we'd appreciate it after this.
Absolutely.
So it's Johnny and the Greg Show, brought to you by Ken.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the topic at hand. I think I was bored 2 Sundays ago, and I posted, I had a random thought. I thought that Star Wars, isn't this called the sequel prequels? No,
it's
Oh.
the sequel trilogy.
the sequel trilogy. So we're talking about Star Wars, what is it,
6 through
7,
9.
8, 9?
Yep.
7, 8, 9?
Oh yeah, all right. Sorry.
Okay.
7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9, which isn't the original 3 where I grew up in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. It is the last ones with Daisy Ridley and Kylo Ren and Adam Driver. Is that his name?
Yep.
Okay. I thought that those movies were not as good as the last 3 Star Trek movies with Chris Pine, the J.J. Abrams universe. So, Ken, lightsaber in hand, furiously debated me on this. Well, we didn't debate. I knew we could get into one, so that's why I
Right.
wanted to bring it in here. So, you have the floor, Ken.
I mean, my first question is: you named Chris Pine. Can you name anybody else?
Sure. The guy that Simon Pegg.
Okay.
Simon Pegg.
All right. The
Zoe Saldana.
Yep, Zoe Saldana. I can
Yeah.
also name I forget Spock's name.
Zach Quinto.
Zach
Zachary
Quinto. There was Idris Elba. as the bad guy in
Oh,
one of
he's
them.
in-
There was
in
one of
also Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch,
Yeah. There was also
Okay.
like cool,
which I
the-
always say very
cool.
slowly.
He's always a character actor. He always plays like somebody's dad or somebody's mentor. And he was in the first one and the second one. He got killed in the
The guy
second
who
one.
played Christopher Pike. Yeah.
Yes. Boom. Go, Ken.
Okay, I mean that's good. It took you a little bit there. I guess my point with that is that the Star Trek movies, the last 3 Star Trek movies, have been extremely forgettable. Even the reboot with Chris Pine, which was okay, it was a little forgettable. I think the biggest controversy that came out of it was I forgot her name. What's her name? Was had to strip down to her underwear at one point, and everybody kept screenshotting that one moment when she was in her underwear with Chris Pine in the landing craft. Right.
Good point. No one's ever screenshotted Princess Leia. You're right.
No,
Right.
but that was. Are we talking about now? Are we talking about Star Wars versus Star Trek? Because that's going to be
No. That's
a different discussion.
Let me
yeah.
let me actually put that on the table. I am more of a Star Wars fan than I am a Star Trek fan. Okay. The old one, Captain Kirk versus Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess, like the original trilogy, no comparison. I'm not even remotely talking about that.
No,
Now-
and I'm just saying that these last 3, they don't even stick in my head. Whereas the Star Wars movies, and maybe it is because I remember seeing the original trilogy in the theater, and I was there, and that the first Star Wars movie, the first Star Trek movie I remember seeing in the theater was
Khan, probably, or
Wrath
Spock.
of Khan. Yeah,
Right.
I think it was Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
But these latest movies just don't do it for me. I feel like the continuation of the story in Star Wars is much stronger than the reboot in Star Trek.
Totally disagree with you on the continuation of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
I think let's talk about the one that came back, Force Awakens. I think
Right.
that was the best one out of the last 3,
Okay.
and it's a reimagining of A New Hope. Instead of Luke, you got a girl, you got Daisy. Instead of R2-D2 with the Death Star plans, now you have that little. My daughter loves it.
BB-8.
BB-8 with the location of Skywalker. It's regurgitated. There was no creativity in it. Kylo Ren is Darth Vader.
It's regurgitated until you figure out what the overall arc was. And I know that J.J. Abrams didn't have the complete and total arc when he started Force Awakens. I know that. But if you truly look at how he pieced it all together by the time the third piece of the trilogy came out, it's pretty ingenious if you think about the fact that he's trying to do the same thing just from a disconnected place. And it's a cyclical world where it comes back around again. And if you think about it that way, if you think about the hero's journey going through someone else and showing that there is this cycle within this universe, it's much more interesting and intriguing, and it opens up so many more possibilities.
I would agree, and I agree with you on that hero's journey piece, and I see where you're coming from. But at the same time, I know, like, from outside of the movie, when you look at like the business end of thing and how they went from J.J. Abrams to, was it Ryan Johnson?
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
To Ryan Johnson, who that break in there with episode 8, and it didn't. It's like, well, where are they going? How are they going to fit all this together? And then Abrams came in and almost triaged the rest of this kind of together in a way that I go, that couldn't have been the original intent. And then when I found out it wasn't, and read one of the scripts that was approved until they completely changed everything, and I went, well, that script made a lot more sense to me than what was actually shot and what we saw.
Well,
So-
I mean, more sense than Return of the Jedi, though, as far as this. I mean, because the truth is, if you remember back in 1983, everybody hated the story of Return of the Jedi too. They thought it was a cheap and easy way out, and they thought the
Yeah.
Ewoks were cheap and easy. But if
Did
you
they
look
really?
back,
Did they really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
horror.
I
It was
loved it. I loved it.
So while I was, young at the time, so I loved it too, and most people our age did love it. But
Mhm.
as far as the critics go, they panned it. They thought it was just a cheap ploy to get more money. It was a Kenner Junction to get more stuff out to the youth to have them buy stuff at Christmas.
It was a toy sales movie
Yeah.
more than it was
Oh.
what they saw as
I didn't get that. I loved it. But actually, that brings me to a point, Ken. Do you feel that with your shirt and your lightsaber behind you, and do you feel that you have so much love to Star Wars that you can't admit if it's like you know what I'm saying? I'm not starting to say this as in terms of like a nasty way to say like you're just. I'm just saying like, do you think like let me put it this way?
Do you have
Uh,
blinders on? I think is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. You have blinders.
Absolutely.
Well, then you
I
just
will,
disconnect.
I will admit that I have certain blinders on, but I will admit that I'm also able to be critical because I could talk for days about how the prequels disappointed me.
Okay.
So there is a certain love that I have, which means I give it a certain birth that I think you do to something you truly love. But at the same time, whatever I love, I can easily be critical of. So yeah, I have blinders on in the fact that I will always give Star Wars a chance. I won't back away from it like I did Star Trek. Star Trek, after the first couple of movies, I went back. I didn't really love The Last Jedi as much as I thought I would, but I went back and watched it multiple times because I was willing to do that. I wasn't willing to do that with Star Trek. I guess
that's because you don't love Star Trek.
as much as I love Star Wars. I do love Star Trek. That was my mom's thing. She got me into it. I watched it. I watched, every even movie was great. I loved all that stuff, but just not as much as Star Wars.
Were you like
Okay.
were you a next gen fan? Like next gen, Deep Space
Uh,
Nine?
No, I was
Did you do that kind of stuff or
Next Gen
Yeah.
a little bit, but not as much. Deep Space Nine I liked a little bit more. They lost me when they stole Scott Bakula. He should still be on Earth traveling through time. So I'm
Oh, Quantum Leap
I
reference. That was a great one.
totally agree on that one.
Yeah.
So
I didn't watch those other ones. I didn't watch those other ones. I didn't watch any of that. I've only watched
You
the
didn't do any of
movies.
the spin-offs? I love Deep Space Nine. DS9 was good, and I liked it because, and not that it was a huge thing, especially in the Star Trek universe, but I loved Cisco, and his style of captaining was so different than what we had seen, with like Picard and some of the other ones. I mean, Q showed up, and for those that don't know, Q is like this omnipotent being that used to pester Picard to no end. And Picard would have to like outwit him. Cisco just knocked his ass out. He one of who's like, boom, just punches him. And Q's like, you punched me. Picard never punched me. And the great delivery by Avery Brooks was like, I'm not Picard. And you're like, oh, it was great. So, I mean, to Ken's point about going back to movies, I think that's a decent point. Cause like, with Star Trek, I will go back to those Chris Pine movies. I will go back to the first one he did because I thought that was cool, and I like how they brought in. They weren't trying to recreate Star Trek for what it was. They were like, we're going to do our own thing.
They made an alternate timeline.
We're going to be able to do this by making an alternate timeline and being very open with that. Like from the get go, they're like, we've created an alternative timeline. We can change the rules. We can do what we want. Alternative timeline. There you go.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that, and then I liked how they did, how they took Wrath of Khan, which is I think probably the best Star Trek film out of the 15. I think there are.
Jesus,
out of
really.
I think there's been quite a few. Like with that original cast.
Wow, 15.
With Shatner and everybody else, out of all those films, I say Wrath of Khan is probably the best.
I would agree.
In terms of filmmaking and story and everything else.
Well, I think that came to the time where, and I want to tie back to the first Star Wars. The reason Wrath of Khan was good is because, damn, dude, Spock died.
Right.
Like, what the hell is that? It's the same thing as when you're like, wait a minute, Darth Vader's Luke's dad?
Yeah.
How can that happen? Ben Kenobi said, that it's that shock value. And once you get that shock, it like that sets your mind to, okay, I will never forget this moment because I didn't expect that. You didn't expect Spock to die. You never expected Darth Vader to have that twist. That's the ultimate twist. The next best twist I've seen since that moment where it made me go, whoa, was Sixth Sense. I can't remember a twist since then that made me go, whoa. Can you? Can you think of any other twist in a movie or even a TV show?
I can't. But
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, I can't even think of. I
Do you know
think.
Sixth Sense. So do you know what we're talking about there? I mean,
Oh, me? Yeah, I know the
yeah.
Sixth
I'm
Sense.
like, you look a little confused. I
No,
figure you
I'm
knew.
trying to think about it. I love M. Night Shyamalan. I
I
even love Lady
I
in the Water.
really
I'm
like.
talking about trying to find something in between there, and I can't think of anything.
I
Yeah.
really liked it. It was a ghost story, but I really like The Others with Nicole Kidman. Did you see
Okay.
that?
The
Yeah.
others was great.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
a
a good twist.
and that's why I remember that movie so well, is because that twist, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's awesome. So that was good.
Which one came out first?
That's what I was. I think Sixth Sense did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just copied off the idea that they're a ghost. They don't know it.
Well, yeah, but you
Yeah.
know what? I guess I never made the connection that that would be where he got that from because they're such different movies. Just it being a ghost story though. I mean,
Right.
with Nicole Kidman.
No, and don't get me wrong. There are really good twists and turns in
Mhm.
movies. I hear Tenet has a really good twist coming or something like that. But I don't want to get into Tenet. That's going to get too crazy. I've already tried to understand the
our last
timeline.
topic. We could talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
also.
Anyway,
But-
going
so-
back to Star Wars. Star Wars.
that was
When
a
I
good
was
point
hitting
there.
on
So
that,
just talking about what I was talking about is like going back to watch those films. I will go back to watch the Chris Pine original Star Trek, and I will go back to watch Into Darkness. Was that the name of it?
yes,
With
the
Benedict
second one.
Cumberbatch?
I believe the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, the second one. I will go back
third
and watch
one
the
wasn't
second one. I'm really not going back to watch the third one. Where with the Star Wars films, again, and I found this even with the prequels, maybe overall I'm like, that could have been better from my perspective. I would have done some things differently. But I think all of them have great moments created by the actors, created by, just maybe overall the film in general. It's got good enough moments that I will go back and watch them, like purposefully go back and watch them.
Okay. I think that discredits both of you, and I'll tell you why.
Ouch.
You guys keep forgetting the fact that you guys are in deep love with Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Because you love it. And the way you guys love Star Wars, I love the Marvel MCU universe.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I will go back and I will watch every Thor: The Dark World. I will
Even-
watch that. I will watch it. I will watch it because I love Marvel. You guys love Star Wars, so you will watch it for certain moments.
But
Well,
I won't
Don't
do-
say no.
I won't
You
do
just
a pre-
I'll be honest with you though. Because I will do the same thing with MCU. I'll do the same thing with even. I love movies. So if a movie catches me, it's not that I'm completely just loyal to Star Wars. I'm loyal to movies. So if it catches me, it catches me. It's not just. I'm not just a big Star Wars nerd because I'll go back.
Okay,
and watch
okay. I think I'm getting your point then, Ken. So what you're saying is you find the Star Wars, the last three movies, more catching than Star Trek, and it has
Right.
nothing to do with your fandom or your love for it.
I think that my fandom helps me to enjoy them, but they also still catch me just as movies themselves.
Okay.
The arc, the storyline, the action. I just like it better.
Right. So let me this is the reason why I feel like I know where you guys are coming from because I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. Okay? And I will still watch the last horrible one for some moments like where he's fighting the Russians in Area 51 or I think last time the only thing I will not rewatch is Shia LaBeouf swinging through the jungle with
Tarzan
monkeys.
style.
Yes, but I will watch that car race or that Jeep chase. I will watch Indy beating up the Russian and getting eaten up by ants. Like I will watch that over, and I know it's a bad movie, and I know they could have done better. But it's my love for Indiana Jones that I will still always give that a shot. That's why I'm talking about. That's why I think you guys are coming at it.
Now I see. I think you're trying to lead us down a path that you're trying to catch us here. No, I'm still saying that the Star Wars movies are still good. It's not just because of my love for them. It's not like Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, because I would say that even The Rise of Skywalker is better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, right? I mean, I wouldn't say
As
that's
a
the only reason. Right, as a film, I think overall standalone.
The Rise of Skywalker. You're talking about the last one, right?
The last one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better than Indiana.
And I'd say that was probably the weakest of the. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you, Greg, you different. Maybe. But
Actually,
Last Jedi I appreciate more than the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, I will not watch The Rise of Skywalker again. Probably, I never will. Like I never it didn't catch me. It didn't make me. I just went, oh, of course she's Palpatine's granddaughter. Okay, like I just felt all this stuff was because there, like I said, there was no shock. Everybody had 1,000. She was either Ben's, Luke's, Leia's.
Sure.
Like everybody was saying she's the granddaughter of somebody. We never knew that with Luke, right? So what I'm
Right, it
saying
was-
is everything that the last three did, there was no shock. The only shock was they killed Snoke. You were like, what? Where the hell is this going? That was the only
Yeah.
shock in that entire thing. When the Emperor came, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked for any of it. And to
Well,
me, and I thought this is falling completely flat.
But I don't think they were trying to hide it because, I mean, the first trailer that came out, everybody who knew anything about Star Wars got to the end of that trailer. And tell me if I'm wrong, Greg, tell me the hairs on the back of your neck didn't just stand up on end as soon as you heard that laugh.
Well, and you bring up a great point because you're absolutely right. They did. But here's the thing. And as much because to Ken's point, we love movies, and all three of us here love movies. We
absolutely.
are cinephiles, and I know especially for I think
For
all
those
of us.
of you that
we
don't know what a
even
cinephile is, it's not what you're thinking or
no,
maybe
it's
you
love of
misunderstood.
movies. That's
It's
how the English
love
language.
of movies. Yes, go ahead.
But we love shitty movies as
Yeah.
well. I mean, absolutely. I just saw New Mutants over the weekend, and that is a shitty movie.
Oh, yeah?
But I still kind of liked it. I mean, we can talk about that later, but we will watch and rewatch shitty. How many times have you rewatched Darkman? I mean, come on, that's
I
Sam
actually
Raimi's
have not.
The Shadow.
I love Darkman.
That's
I
a great
really
movie. Liam Neeson. I mean,
I went
But
out and
that's
got
a
one
good
of
point.
those,
That's a
one of
good
those
point.
ducks with the.
It's a good
oh
point.
yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is like we will rewatch movies whether we love them or hate them. And to Ken's point, there have been some terrible, terrible movies out there that they cut a great trailer. Like whoever's the person in charge of cutting that trailer together, you're like, oh my god, that looks like an amazing film. And then you
Batman
watch it.
versus Superman.
Everything's in the trailer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because we watched Justice League. I mean, and again, I will rewatch Justice League. I don't think it's a great film, but I'll rewatch it. But that trailer, when that came out, you're like, oh
amazing.
my, yeah, that was good. I'm gonna get into that.
That was a great trailer.
So yeah,
Oh.
trailers can.
Yeah.
A good trailer cut will make you want to see anything.
So Ken, I think we're gonna just basically agree to disagree on this. I think I might be the
Because
majority.
this is America.
Yeah, but this is one thing I want to run by you, Ken. Okay.
Yeah.
The Knights of Ren. What if
Right.
you would have taken instead of the? I'm sorry. This is just a like the First Orders, the Empire. It's all the same thing. You just name it different stuff, and you just do different stuff. Anyway, what if you totally threw out the last three movies, and instead of it becoming a like, what if the Knights of Ren were Force vampires? See, you already got peaked. What if that was the story, or that had something to do, and Kylo Ren got like you guys see Doctor Sleep?
Yeah, it's on my list.
Okay,
Haven't
in
seen
Doctor Sleep, there is the group called the True Knot, where they are psychic vampires, and you can either choose to join them and become a vampire, or you go and hunt them. So it's the same thing. So Ben could have sat there and chose to join them, right? Or I don't know, just instead of like having it like a scourge that was sweeping the earth, and they had to go find Luke because Luke knew how to. I mean, you guys would know more about Star Wars canon versus not canon stuff of all the Outer Rim shit, but just that alone, right? Forget the First Order, forget the fucking Empire. It got killed when they threw him over the bridge, and this Death Star blew up, and all this stuff. Have something new. Show us something else. That's what I wanted out of the last three Star Wars.
I think that would have been. I think that would have been a great movie. I love what you're saying already. I think the problem is when you're talking about a big budget, large screen event,
Right.
and it's called Star Wars, you
Yes.
can't do a star story. And I think that's what
Yeah.
they were going for. You,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Okay.
The Mandalorian is, and we could talk about that. I think you said we want to talk about that. That is a great story,
I
but
love
it's
the
not
Mandalorian.
something you put on the big screen. It's great for
Right.
it's great for the TV, but it's not a Star Wars.
You don't
It's
think
a
you could
Star
put
story.
that? You don't think you could put that like there was like, or just create a Thanos character who wanted to find all the, I don't know, the Jedi relics and the Sith relics, and if they put them together, it can create a vortex. I don't know, whatever.
Well,
You-
they kind of
right,
did. You're talking
and
about
everything-
holocrons and
Yeah,
that happens in Rebels and stuff like that.
and that's just it, Jen. What you're talking about are, and I like your term there, Ken, the star stories, because then you can get into that depth. You can get into that. And what we're forgetting here again is that business end of Star Wars, and now you've got Disney backing all of that, and they're not just looking at what's a great story. They're looking at how many aliens can we put in here to make plushies and Lego sets and whatever.
How many different ships
T-shirts,
can we
all-
have? Yeah.
all that yogurt said it best, merchandising where the real money from the movie is made, because that is truly what it is. And Star Wars is very much victim of that.
Yeah. So you're
yeah,
saying they write scripts based off of selling toys?
I think that is a huge part of when they're coming up with a story. Eventually, I think there's a business person that has to come in and say, well, how many ships you're going to have in here? How many new designs are we going to have? And because you can't have all the A-wings and
Well,
X-wings. We gotta throw in
again,
something
like
else.
I just felt like they left so much on the table. And I think Ken, you addressed it in the post. You said that there were so many stories and so many ways they could have gone, and that's the problem. They didn't go there. Like instead of having I forgot who the Black Stormtrooper is. His name Finn. Is it Finn?
Finn, yeah.
Okay, Finn, and having the general. Who's that general stormtrooper that looked awesome?
Captain Phasma.
Why couldn't Captain Phasma be like his bigger sister, and there'd be a family rivalry there, or that could be his brother? Because it should have been that part should have been explored more. You know,
Yeah, and you're right. She was a wasted character.
yeah, she was a wasted character. Finn, Rose. You had
Rose.
a great actor in Isaac. I always forget his name. I mess it up. Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
Terrific actor. He could have been something like you could have used that for something.
Mhm.
And that's why it fell flat to me, because it was like, okay, all right, is this where Leia comes? Oh, and here's Han. Okay,
And-
he's all right with
Well,
Chewie.
I know this cross bridges, but I prefer him as Poe than Apocalypse.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, very much so.
I agree.
Ken, I don't know if you've ever done it. Do you ever go read any of the novelizations of the films?
I did for a while, and my son is really into them. I'm more of a visual guy. I love to read, but
Sure.
I like bigger novels than as
With-
opposed to smaller ones.
What I liked about, especially with the prequels, and like I said, the prequels, they all have great moments overall. I didn't enjoy them as much, but I think that was more from a filmmaking perspective than it was a story perspective. I went back and I read those novels, and I think Matthew Stover wrote all of them. And there are, like everybody said, Anakin's turn to the dark side was like that. It was way too quick. It was way too on a dime. That, well, in the books,
I
they
hate
go into
sand.
yeah. In the books, they go into how Palpatine was pouring dark energy into him for 15 years or whatever it was, and just feeding that and preying on his insecurities and everything else. So it wasn't like an automatic switch. It wasn't just on a dime. And so you got a lot more insight with the novels. And so when the new movies came out, I was like, oh, I'm going to get these novels. I'm going to see what's going on. You know, what was unseen, what's going on in the characters' heads, where you can get all those pieces. And the first two, I thought, okay, they're giving us some insight, not as much as we got. And then I thought the third book, I'm like, oh, we're going to get a ton of stuff with Pelly. And it wasn't. It was almost like they just took the script and put it in a book, and that's what we got. There were no more extra scenes. There was no more. You got a little bit with Poe and that the Felicity, Kerry Russell's character.
Yeah.
You got a little bit more between those two in some terms of history,
Right.
but you really didn't get any more story or a stronger grasp on anything. You got a little bit on how Palpatine was manipulating everything, because like there was no Snoke. He was Snoke in just a clone body that he changed the face, and so he never really went away. I mean, that was kind of what they alluded to, but that was pretty much it. So
Yeah.
I think part of it is they got to think about the long game too, especially with Disney, right? I mean, so they retconned a couple of storylines from The Last Jedi to the Rise of Skywalker, because they didn't like the way that things were going. But then they look at the Rise of Skywalker and they realize that this can't come to an end. So I gotta believe that some of those stories left open, Poe and his spice running days, and how why we got the awful kiss with Rey. I think all of those things will be addressed, or should be addressed anyway, in future installments, if and when they come.
And but you know what? I don't know if it's going to be in film. I think it's going to be, I mean, the comic book industry is suffering right now, so I don't know if it's going to be in comics, but definitely novelizations and some other things. I don't know if they're going to go for another Rey Skywalker film. I don't know. I don't know if they would do that.
I know the talk is going back to prior to when when the Jedi were, the old Republic and stuff like that.
So that's good.
That's cool. I'm cool watching that. They've shown some stuff that on video games that were like the intro or the trailers that are amazing. I was like, why aren't they doing this? This is amazing. Like, you can make that like Game of Thrones, like with the political backstabbing and all that. You could make that really interesting. But
so that's kind of the talk.
Yeah.
Fallen Order is a pretty good one. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, Fallen Order is great. That is a fantastic
video.
video.
It was a great,
But they're even talking about going farther back in Star Wars lore, and which I think is now called the Legend or Legacy storylines. There is what they call the Hyperspace Wars. There's the Mandalorian Wars. And there is, hey Calder, how you doing, bud? So there's just more to do there, where what they could have is, and in this time there are literally thousands of Jedi, there are thousands of Sith, and so there could be a lot going on with those storylines. And everybody's talking about, from the Old Republic video games, of Revan, like we need the Revan story. And part of me is going, no, you don't. Let's completely hit the reset button in terms of characters. Let's introduce all new characters.
That's all I wanted from the last three.
Give us the Sith, give us the Jedi. If you want to do some of those organized crime like Black Sun or something like that, I mean, if you want to keep those there, I guess that's fine. But every hero, every villain, all brand new. Set it in the Star Wars universe. And that's what I like about The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is introducing brand new characters.
Yep.
Like, everybody's like, oh, they're making a Boba Fett series. It is not Boba Fett. That is The Mandalorian. Oh, it's Baby Yoda. It's not Baby Yoda. It's the child, which is the same species as Yoda, but that's totally different. Like, and I think that's part of the draw, especially for me, is that it is new characters. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree with you. I think that what they need to do is forget the Skywalker. Forget that. I felt Skywalker was perfectly summed up in 3 movies, and that was the first 3 movies. After that, I understand the prequels. I understand everybody wanted to see Darth Vader or Anakin go to Darth Vader. I totally get that. But I didn't need to see Rey. I didn't need to see any of those people. I just didn't. I didn't need to see that. I didn't need to, because it just felt cheap to me.
But Mark Hamill's still alive, so he's got to be involved. It's just that, Luke Skywalker is the most iconic character in the history of film for me, right? I mean,
I get that. I get having to bring them back, but don't just regurgitate. Like, Star Killer Base is the same fucking thing as the Death Star. Like, what are we doing? Like, Disney, you're in charge of this, and this is like, if I would have read that first script, I would have gone, yeah, I've seen this movie. It's called The New Hope. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they said.
Yeah.
That was the problem, is that when The Force Awakens came out, so many people were like, this is just A New Hope. We're pretty upset about this. And The Last Jedi.
Anybody see that, really?
Oh yeah. The Last Jedi was coming out to say, you know what? Here's something completely different. And nobody liked that. They didn't like
Yeah.
the different direction they
Yeah.
were going there. They
And
couldn't
this is-
appease anybody.
This is where I've always said, like, the nerd space of the Star Wars fans, that they're never going to be happy with anything. And even when The Last Jedi came out and the giant uproar of that, what I loved about it is that Star Wars was no longer a safe space for the nerds where that were like, well, this is my Star Wars. You don't own Star Wars. Star Wars owes you nothing.
Oh,
It
here we
is-
go.
Oh yeah, I absolutely, here we go.
I agree.
It is not your sandbox. It
No.
was a sandbox of George Lucas that he sold to Disney. So now they get to do with it what they want. And you can take it and you can enjoy it, or because we're fans. And that's the thing. You get back to that bottom line of money. If a Star Wars movie comes out, it doesn't matter what you hear about it, good, bad, or otherwise, you're paying a ticket. You're gonna go see that in the theater.
I guess the way I think about it is you like a band or you don't like a band, right? If you like
Mhm.
music and you like a band, you want to hear the music that they produce.
Yeah.
And unless you're really, really into music, you want to hear them play the same stuff over and over again. You want every
Mhm.
album to be similar. And if they change course, if they do something different, if it comes out and the sound is not what you're used to, you either really like them and you go along with it, or you back away. And Star Wars is kind of like that. If you're really into them, you follow them wherever they go. But most people were like, you know what, this is too similar, and I'm not that big of a fan of Star Wars. And too many other people were like, you know what, Last Jedi is too different. I'm out, and they
Mhm.
walked away.
Mm. All right.
All right. So with that,
Yeah,
you guys
with
brought
that.
up Marvel and DC not too long ago. And
Yeah.
interesting things happening in the world, especially of DC.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So
I
Warner
agree.
Brothers they've had the DC license forever, and they've struggled, I think, pretty recent. Well,
Mightily.
yeah, they've had some struggles in that, they're trying to build a universe, but they're doing it differently, and all this other stuff. But now, what's probably unheard of in terms of Hollywood is with the Zack Snyder cut in the Justice League, and Zack Snyder had some very legitimate reasons to leave that project. He had, some personal tragedy happen.
But
I
he
can't
didn't.
imagine.
But he didn't just leave because of that.
No. Well,
They kicked his ass out, man.
you think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't like him.
Well,
Well,
no, it's not that they didn't like him. They were just like, look, you can't finish. Like, look, we gave you complete control over Man of Steel and complete control over Batman versus Superman, and both were not well received, and they panicked.
Yeah. So they saw their opening, they took it.
Yep.
But now, and again, all the people that really didn't like Man of Steel, all the people that really didn't like Batman versus Superman, are leading the charge to get the Zack Snyder cut because of how much they hated Joss Whedon's Justice League, which is interesting.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think we just have a lot of people that actually liked it. They wanted to see. From what I understand, Zack Snyder had a 5-movie story,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in the middle of his story, he's told, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to lighten it up. We got to make it more like Marvel. And he's like, no, wait. I just finished the first 2 chapters. Here's the middle chapter where this is like Empire Strikes Back. This is where the bad guys win.
Yeah.
And now we're going to watch the development. And they're like, no, we're just going to make it nice and happy. And we got Josh, and he did Avengers twice. And so everything's glorious. And
Well, but now it's all coming out that his set was.
exactly. Yeah. His set must have not been fun. I heard Jeff Johns has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
It's a shame because, you could see them scrambling, and the problem is, if you look at the DC universe, if they just would have pulled their head out of their asses and looked at the WB and look at the Arrowverse that they had created,
Yeah.
they had that.
Yeah.
They had that Marvel universe if they just would have kicked it up, and they could have even taken some of those characters from the television series
Right.
and put them on the big screen, and I guarantee you people
Yep.
would have loved it.
I agree with you.
I never understood, and right in there, we've cast Ezra Miller as the Flash, and everybody
Yeah.
went, "Who? You got
Yeah.
a guy who's killing it already.
He's doing a great job.
Why would
Not
you
only that,
the Flash he made, I didn't like his Flash.
Oh God, I didn't like his Flash
Ezra,
at all.
I didn't like that Flash. I'm a fan of the Flash, and so I really liked the character. And I was like, dude, this isn't Barry Allen. This is some loser that lives in his or lives in a like warehouse or something.
And
Well,
you know
it's
what?
like they took Grant Gustin's and they wanted to make it quirkier and not as
Yeah.
extreme, and they said, okay, what can we do? Let's grab one of the quirkiest guys, and obviously, what's his name from Willard wasn't available. Crispin Glover
Crispin
wasn't
Glover.
available, so they went and got Ezra Miller. Right?
Oh God, what would that have been like?
Imagine him as the Flash.
Yeah.
Well, and-
But I think an interesting point comes up with that though. I have two interesting points. Greg, I'll let you finish your thought in a second. Sorry to interrupt. With Zack Snyder, there's two interesting things here. Number one, I don't know if the movie's going to be any really better because it ends on a cliffhanger. We're not going to get his
Right.
4 or 5, right? From what I understand, if you want to see what his true vision was, you're supposed to go watch the animated thing that's been coming out. Like the last one was called Justice League Apocalypse War or something like that.
Oh really?
That's how it was supposed to end.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
doesn't end well. You know, it doesn't. It
Yeah.
You know, and I think spoiler alert, so everybody shut off if you haven't seen Justice League War. Spoiler alert. When it's all said and done, there's like 6 heroes left. They're not all the main ones, and someone tells Flash to go back and reset the whole universe.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And I don't know if that's what they wanted to do with Zach or not. But what I'm saying is we're going to get a finished product of the middle of the story, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So is it going to be any better? Or this could like roll into, oh my God, you have got to like finish
It
your
could.
vision. We got to see how this ends. And that's my second part of this is this the beginning of something where other directors that have had corporate like demolish their work,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to have a way of getting back in, like the Fantastic Four stick or something, whatever that was called, the one with Josh Trapp, the director that directed the last
Fantastic
Four
Four?
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a huge. I guess I've heard the documentary on that where they were just on him and they changed his vision. They changed the editing. He wasn't allowed to edit it. Yeah. And so is that going to open the door for a guy like him to sit there and say, look, guys, I have a director's cut. All I need is 25 million and I can make this the better movie that I wanted my vision to look like. You know, does that open that door if this becomes successful?
I think it depends on who owns the rights and who's willing to share, right?
Yeah.
Or with plans they have for the Fantastic Four. Or
I didn't mean
something like
Fantastic
that.
Four. That was just an example. But I'm
Right.
saying
Right.
Zack Snyder open up a new door here to release whatever director's cut.
Well, possibly. I mean, do you remember when DVDs first came out? There were director's cuts. Like
Right.
it was
Ridley
unrated.
Scott has one for every one of his movies.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, yeah. And so sometimes it's a better movie, sometimes it's not. I remember Guillermo del Toro, one of his films. I was listening to the director's commentary, and he's like, and you know, he's very Spanish, and so he's like, we're going to go take a look at the deleted scenes that we put back in the film, but you know, we cut them because, well, they were shit and they needed to be cut out. But hey, everybody likes this kind of stuff because we're fans, so let's watch it anyway. And I was like, all right, that's a good point. But then, and I think it was a Ridley Scott film, The Kingdom, with Orlando Bloom and the Crusades.
Yeah. Okay.
He adds his director's cut, adds in scenes that have the movie make more sense. I mean, it was a better film with his director's cut, which I believe was 3.5 hours long. That someone in corporate said, "No, we're not doing a 3.5 hour medieval crusade film. We're not going to do it."
Right.
Where the other side actually looks like they were right.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting the precedent that this is going to set. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of like other films. I don't know if it'll happen to other films where they're going to let this happen. But I think WB just needs a win, and they're seeing this as a possible win because they are hurting the studio.
Well, I mean, the stuff that's coming up soon, yeah, I like,
You know, the Suicide Squad looks interesting. The Batman, the Batman,
Yeah.
I'm sold. I don't need to watch another thing or listen to another thing or read another thing. Just tell me when the movie's out and I'll go see it. I'm sold on that. So I think they have some wins coming down. I mean, maybe Wonder Woman. I don't know. Maybe Wonder Woman 84 will
Again,
do well.
My daughter just watched it today, and she's the trailer, and she's like, "We got to see this, Dad." I'm like, okay.
Wonder Woman 84, I'm all in for. The Batman, I am going to see it. I'm going to love it. I'm pretty sure.
Me too.
The trailer does make me a little trepidatious about what they're planning on doing with Bruce Wayne himself.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the emo?
Yeah, it feels a little Spider-Man 3 to me. I don't know if we want to go quite that deep down the hole. I know he's supposed to be. The thing about Bruce Wayne is he has this dichotomy, right? He is this tormented, tortured soul, but to everybody on the outside world, he looks like a happy playboy. Are we going to lose that completely? That's kind of a big part of who he is.
I think you're probably right. I think we are going to lose some of that. There may be flashes of that, but I think more of the takes are going to be the tortured soul.
Yeah.
That's probably why Pattinson actually took on the role.
It could be, yeah.
He probably wants to really deep dive into that.
I love the dichotomy that, you know, Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman, and the outcry of the internet, and oh my God, why would you do this, a sparkly vampire? It took one trailer for all those guys to be like, oh, he's awesome.
Right. Well, Greg, didn't we say that? Didn't we say that on the podcast?
Absolutely.
Like about a year ago, we were just like, just wait. He's going to blow you guys away. They know what they're doing here.
I stopped judging who they cast in superhero roles
after Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Keaton is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the guy from Duplicity knocks it out the park, you're like, okay.
Yeah, or Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He can do all right. He can do all right.
What I'm going to suggest, and I'm going to suggest this to everybody, is that go ahead, watch that first trailer for the Batman, and then, like John said, just you don't watch another trailer, you don't read another note, you just let it go, because the villain is the Riddler, and it took the internet about a half hour to solve the riddle that was in the trailer. So I think the more you see of that, if you're one of these people that just wants to read up on everything before you go into the movie, you're going to have a large part of that plot already figured out going into a film. And a film like this, and I think John, you said it, where this is Batman meets Seven.
Yep.
And that is so intriguing to me.
Well, I think what's really intriguing about it is the fact that they're going to make it, you're going to see him finally be the greatest detective.
Yeah.
You're going to see him be a detective, walk into a crime scene and find all these clues. And I'm excited. I can't wait.
Wow.
I'm excited.
And Paul Dano. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
There isn't much I haven't loved him do, so I'm looking forward to him being a part of it.
I agree.
And everything, I mean, I can't remember the first film I saw him in. It was probably There Will Be Blood. But I watched it and I'm like, God, this kid is so awkward. I don't know if I'm going to like him. But the performances that he would just crank out, and you're like, okay, yep, this kid is amazing.
Yeah. Little Miss, if you saw Little Miss Sunshine, he was in Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh,
was he?
That's right, he was.
Yeah, he was the brother.
I forgot.
And that was probably his first one. Yeah, he wanted to be the Air Force pilot, and then they found out he was colorblind, and he flipped out. And that moment right there, found out that he couldn't be in the. I was like, wow, this he needs to be in a drama now.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about future films, we missed out on a couple this year.
Yeah.
And I brought up a list of like what were some of the films that we were supposed to get.
I'm waiting for Black Widow still.
That we didn't. Yeah. I mean, I think the last film that I saw in the theater, well, maybe not, but before everything went nuts, I remember I was traveling for work and I saw Bad Boys for Life, and I loved it.
Me too. That was my last one.
But I mean, we're missing some, like The Gentleman. I never got to see that, but I heard that's an amazing film.
The Gentleman. What's that?
That's Matthew McConaughey. It's a Guy Ritchie film.
Okay.
Let's see, Matthew McConaughey, Charlie.
It's Charlie Hunnam. It's very it looks very lock, stock, and two
Yeah.
stock.
Yep.
Smoking
It looks
Barrels.
very Guy Ritchie.
Layer Cake. Yeah, it's very Guy Ritchie. But I love his stuff.
Yeah.
I've loved everything I've seen from him so far. Snatch.
you know-
Snatch is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love that movie. And now I'm looking through the list of things that we just kind of missed out on. We got to see that Bloodshot was the first film that I'm like, oh, this is coming out, and it came out March 13th. And
I heard we didn't miss nothing.
Well, I heard that
Yeah.
too, but it's still. I mean,
I know, you still gotta see it.
Gotta
Still
go
gotta
see
see
it.
it. Yeah.
Right.
And Trolls, that was the first movie that was released direct to video, and there was a huge uproar about that.
Yeah.
Trolls World
Tour.
Right? Yeah.
World Tour. Yep. Artemis Fowl was set to be a good film. Greyhound, which was the Tom Hanks film I really wanted to see,
Mm-hmm.
and it was released on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl was underwhelming.
It
I heard
was.
that.
Yeah,
I
did
heard it
watch
was
on Disney
horrible.
Plus.
Yeah.
The off-delayed New Mutants, I saw that on Friday.
Did you see it? I just couldn't. I can't go into a theater and see that yet. I'm just not
Well,
ready.
You know my local theater, Ken,
Yeah.
and they opened up this week, and I'm like, I kind of did. I don't care what they're playing. I got to go support Matt and the Town Cinema in Watertown, so I'm going to go. And I went, and there was a chance that my family was going to want to see Bill and Ted, the Bill and Ted film. I'm like, well, I'll wait on that, and I'll see New Mutants. And I'm the only guy in the entire theater, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, if I had went to like a big city theater and paid my $15 to $16, I would have been angry.
Yeah.
My hometown theater, who I'm happy to support, that doesn't charge 15 or 16 bucks a ticket, they're $4.25 a ticket. I went $4.25. All right, yeah. I mean, was it a $4.25 movie? Yes, it was. So
Good to know. What about Tenet? Did you see that, Ken?
Tenet?
Yeah, man. The trailers I haven't seen. I don't even know. The movie's not out yet, right?
Yes, it is. It's out.
It is.
No,
Yeah.
but
I haven't-
it's out internationally. It's not out in the U.S.
It hasn't come out in the U.S. yet, right? I want to see
Oh,
it.
it was.
No, I
it was.
believe it's this week. I believe it's this.
Okay.
I want to
in
see
fact,
it.
I'm
You
looking.
fact check that?
I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes right now, and they say September 3rd is going to be the date.
Okay.
It'll-
All right. My fault. All right.
So, and I just watched my first trailer for that today. Like,
Seriously.
I wanted
for
to go
you.
in. I wanted to go in cold. I wanted to go in not knowing anything, because if it's a Christopher Nolan film, I think it's better if I do that.
Yeah.
And Kate was watching just where they stack trailers on YouTube of like all the new trailers that come out, and one was on there, and I watched it, and I went, well, I still have no idea what this is about. So okay,
No, I think that's the best. That's the best thing that happens in a trailer. Is
my favorite Christopher Nolan film to date is Memento. So the fact that it looks like he's playing with time again,
Yeah.
I think that is his sweet spot. So
somebody broke down. He has an obsession with it. It's in every one of his movies. The way he paces stuff,
seeing
even
time.
in all the Batman. My favorite Nolan movie is Inception. I thought that was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yep.
Inception was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible.
And again,
Um,
a fresh concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, I
Yeah.
mean, as far as Batman films go, I'm not crazy about his Batman films.
Really?
So
Wow.
I liked them. I liked the. I don't know if I would have put. I know Heath Ledger passing kind of boosted that thing, and he had a great performance.
He
I don't
did,
know if
yeah.
I put The Dark Knight on the level that everybody seems to,
mhm.
but I thought overall that story arc was pretty. It was a fantastic beginning to end of a Batman character, and I loved the way that they finished it up.
I think I feel about his Batman films probably how you feel about Pine's Star Trek films.
Okay.
I mean, they're good films. I'm
Yeah.
glad
Really?
I've seen them. Yeah,
Really?
but the most impressive performance in there for
Heath.
me, I mean, Heath Ledger, yes, he was great, but like Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, I wasn't crazy about Christian Bale at all. Like either his Bruce Wayne or his Batman.
All right.
And my favorite of those three films is Batman Begins.
Oh,
But-
mine too. Mine too.
So yeah, I know people that will absolutely bow down to those films, and I'm like, no. I mean,
My wife is
as
one of
far
them.
as yeah, as far as Nolan films goes, I'm like, I'd rather watch Inception. I'd rather watch Memento. I just heard today, or no, yesterday about his first film called Following. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. It's supposed to be fantastic.
It sounds great. It's an all black and white film, and so it's
Yeah.
very noir. But it is it's about an older guy teaching a younger guy how to follow somebody effectively and not be seen. And I'm like, oh, it sounds like
that's what I really like about Nolan too. Is he finds a really interesting, like, okay, look, we've seen movies where you can go into somebody's mind. The Cell. We've seen I think it was called Dream Escape. Remember that?
Dream-
80s
Love
movie?
that movie.
Right?
Dreamscape with Randy
Right?
Dennis Quaid.
And then, but he's the first one that was like, hey, let's have corporate espionage where you can go into a guy's brain, implant an idea. You know, that's an original take on something that, and just following. I want to watch that now. That sounds amazing to me. Like just that idea of, hey, man, this is how you follow someone without being detected.
Are you sure that wasn't Devil's Advocate? I mean, that was pretty close to, wasn't it? Corporate America getting into, and then seeing that, what's her name? I forgot her name, but Keanu Reeves. I mean, come on now. He
Are
was
you talking
all
about the one
about
where
corporate.
Al Pacino's the devil?
Al Pacino's the devil, and he's a lawyer, and he goes into it, freaks around, or The Firm with Tom Cruise. Come on.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think Nolan's one of my favorite directors because whatever he's doing, the only one actually I didn't like his war movie.
Not Dunkirk.
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 Was it Dunkirk?
I didn't like Dunkirk.
Yeah,
like-
but again, he messed with time a lot.
Yes, he did.
And
Yeah.
like figuring out where you're at in
Yeah.
the timeline of Dunkirk of like who's escaping, where are we at? I mean that took a little bit.
Right.
See,
But
and I liked Interstellar.
okay, I was just
Was-
going to talk about Interstellar. I was going to talk
Was
about
that a Nolan film?
Oh,
he
yeah.
wrote it. He
Yeah.
wrote it.
I
yeah.
liked Interstellar
I
too.
didn't know that was a Nolan film. I like
Yeah.
Interstellar. Yeah,
And I liked
But
it. I liked it a
But
lot.
the end of it was confusing for a lot of people, and
Absolutely.
I hear that if you were confused by Interstellar, you're in for a fun one with Tenet. That's
Oh,
what
really?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've heard. I've heard
It-
you think Interstellar was tough. All right.
To watch Tenet probably
Yeah,
a couple
so
times.
that's what unnerves me a little bit is like I'm betting you Nolan's 2 hours. That's 2 hours of intense paying attention.
Mm.
You know that's the only thing that worries me about it. But I'm still gonna see it. I love his movies.
I do
Love it.
too. I do
So
too.
I
agree.
don't know. I don't know where this one's at. It says it's still opening on September 4th, but Monster Hunter with Mila Jovovich. It's a Paul W.S. Anderson film, which seems to be all she's in anymore.
Yeah.
But it's based off the Monster Hunter video game,
Of course it is.
which is it's people hunting giant monsters with ridiculously large weapons and whatnot. So
In
We'll see
Raccoon
what-
City.
yeah, probably
Right.
probably not quite in Raccoon City, but it could be.
It's gonna be in Possum City this time, man.
Right, right.
Trying to look at what else.
I like Mila Jovovich. I remember her from Dazed and Confused and The Fifth Element, and then all of a sudden she did.
Oh my God, she was in that movie, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was.
Yeah, when
she
you said,
was-
I was like, who? I always thought her first ever movie was The Fifth Element.
No, she was in Dazed and
Ooh.
Confused.
No,
Yeah.
her first movie ever was Cuffs with
Yeah.
Christian Slater.
Oh,
Yeah.
no kidding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was the
I remember
girlfriend,
that.
right?
She was
That's
the
just-
girl.
She just popped in every once in a while,
playing
Oh,
like a
that'd be-
20-something at 16.
barely dressed, hanging around in the apartment.
Just not dressed. I mean, there
Yeah.
are scenes in there where there because I don't know why I know this, but when she was
You're a man.
16,
You're a
yeah,
man.
she was 16, she was naked. They had to have like special protective people on set for her, but she was like a European model. She's like, no, this is normal for me. It's not a big deal.
I'm used to it. Yeah.
But looking at like the rest of the year, the calendar for the rest of the year, save your money for October and November because all those kind of summer movies that, not the huge blockbusters, not the Top Gun, not anything like that, but there's a lot of great films coming out.
Speaking of
do
Top Gun, is Maverick? When is Maverick coming out?
2021. I'll get to that screen in a second. But
Was
like,
that always going to be 2021 or was it?
it's supposed to be July this year. July 4th.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's supposed to be July 4th this year, and it didn't happen. But like October, we got a new Candyman reboot coming out. There's a great another Kenneth Branagh,
Murder in the Nile.
Ichiro Perot, Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
Black Widow comes out in November. So Soul, Pixar movie, comes out in November. New James Bond. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the list here.
Hey, who do you think Idris Elba being the new James Bond? That's a good choice.
I think it's great. I
think it's awesome.
I think the James Bond series needs some kind of shot in the arm, and we got that with Daniel Craig, but that was 15 years ago, I would say.
Wow,
maybe.
no kidding.
Does it seem like it's that?
Yeah, I think it might have been 2005, 2006 when he
Casino
first did.
Royale.
Yeah.
Was his film. So I mean, what we need something, and what I've heard is, and this is again a departure from the original novels, but those haven't been written in a long time. That they're going to make, again, this is a theory that I had heard, would be to bring in Idris Elba, would be to make James Bond part of the code name. Like you're a 007. Right. So like that would explain how we had Sean Connery and Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton. All those guys.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean all those guys.
Or what's that? What was that one movie with the death race where like we need a Frankenstein? Like that was the character.
Yeah, that was.
And they kept putting people under
it
because they just needed the character.
Yeah,
so
no,
that
but
would be like,
you don't think he's? I mean, I love Idris Elba. I think he's fantastic, but he is a seasoned. You don't think he might be a little too aged? I mean,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think he's not. He just got done with a kickboxing tournament right before COVID-19. He was like in a serious Muay Thai fighting match.
Really?
This dude stays in shape.
I know he does. Yeah,
this dude is serious stuff. And so, I think it's perfect. Do you mean old in terms of an old James Bond? Is that why you're saying that, or are you talking about?
I just mean I don't.
Keep up.
You know, if we can't go on the same path we did with Daniel Craig. Now, 15 years later, in 15 years, he's 65. I don't want to see what was the one in 1983 with Sean Connery. The
Never Say Never Again.
Never Say Never Again. I don't want to see. I don't want to see an old bald Idris Elba playing James Bond.
And that's, I mean, we had interviewed New York Times best-selling author Matthew Riley, is that coming out? That's coming out soon.
No, it comes out this week.
That's this week. Okay. So, and he's got a great series of books, and we were talking about like his books being optioned for movies and stuff like that. And he's been in various stages of that along his career. And he's like, yeah, we've had actors attached to his main character.
Yeah.
He's like, but the thing about Hollywood is that these guys get old. I mean, and they get old fast. He's like, you go back and watch Thor, the first Thor movie, and Chris Hemsworth, and even going to Ragnarok, like there was a definite age difference in this character.
Yeah,
he's like, these guys have a shelf life to be able to play these guys as long as they can. And all respect to Chadwick Boseman, who unfortunately passed away this week. Everybody is shocked, absolutely shocked, that he was 43.
Right.
I mean, I had no idea. I didn't know he's that old. I'm like, he's older than me. I had no idea.
I knew he was in his 40s only because I've followed him from the first time I saw him. I think he's fantastic, and sad to see him go. But yeah,
Wakanda forever, buddy.
Absolutely, they were showing that tonight for free on ABC.
Yeah.
Oh, good. He was great. And so, what do you? Since we're on that topic, what do you think they're going to do with Black Panther? Are they going to recast? Or are they going to?
I certainly hope they do. I know that there's a push to make Shuri the next Black Panther, and to not replace T'Challa, and to just keep going with that, and let a first female be the head of Wakanda.
Right. There's I think in the comics, and I just
That
a
happened
buddy
in the comics.
posted on us, like the T'Challa in the comics is actually passed this month as well in terms of the storyline. So that could be where that's headed, and that
Yeah.
would be interesting.
It would be interesting. I don't have an issue with it. But you got to be careful though, because you could lose your, and this is going to come off really bad, but you're going to lose your audience if Black Panther's a girl, Thor's a girl, Iron Man becomes Ironheart, which is another girl, Captain Marvel is leading it, and I think only thing you'd have is Doctor Strange. That's it.
Oh, the Guardians. You'd have a couple of the
I mean,
Guardians.
The Guardians aren't gonna. They're done after this. I think it's new
After the next
Guardians
one.
after. It's new Guardians after this third one. And I'm just saying, you just got to be careful. You just can't like. I don't know.
You can't let it swing so far the other way from
Yeah, you just got to be careful.
I mean, and you're right. I mean, an all male team or all male except for Black Widow. That's like that's a sausage fest. You gotta swing back the other way.
Right.
But if you swing too hard the other way and it's all women,
Right.
you're gonna lose audience there. You gotta hit that sweet spot in the middle, and that's the same with anything in terms of cultural representation of
Correct.
of anything.
You also don't want it to look forced either, right? I mean,
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
That scene in Endgame was great, but it was also like, okay, seriously,
It was
like half these girls were across the battlefield dealing with their own stuff, and all of a sudden they ended up in this one spot to have this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah,
felt
I
forced.
know. Not only that, but Captain Marvel just blew up an entire ship,
Right.
and she like withstood a head. She held her own against Thanos, and yet she needs all this help. No,
She needs the Wasp to help her.
she just
Yeah.
flies over the big. Yeah, she just flies over the horde of monsters coming at her. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, but that's all I meant with that. Is just you got to be careful.
Mhm.
So.
Agreed.
Because I know Jane Foster's going to be Thor, or the Mighty Thor, and I think Chris is out after that because, like you said, Gray, like there's a life,
Yep.
and the fact that they even had like Robert Downey Jr., the fact that they even had him for 20 movies is impressive.
Yeah. Well,
But at least Tony Stark can age, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Yes,
Thor
yes.
can't. He has to be
Yeah, he's
immortal.
not supposed to, right?
Right.
Mhm. Well, there's in the comics itself, one of my favorite Thor characters was actually a guy named Kevin Masterson, who was in the 1980s and in the
You liked
90s.
him? Yeah.
Yeah, when Thor would have to, Kevin was the vessel of Thor on Earth, and he would smash his walking stick in the ground, and then he and Thor would swap places, and then we'd have Thor. Thor died in the comics, and then Odin saw fit to make Masterson the new Thor because he was worthy.
He was like
And-
Thunderstrike or something, right?
Well, he was Thor for a while, and then when Thor Odin's son returned and took up the mantle of Thor again, they said, "Well, Masterson's still a good guy. We don't want to cut him short." So yeah, they remade a weapon for him, and it wasn't a hammer, it was a triangle, and they called it a mace, and it was called Thunderstrike. But yeah, I mean that's again, is that more story or is that a film? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
they're
I
doing
think
some pretty cool things effects wise, just on TV now. That I mean,
yeah.
they could.
I think the MCU is going to start running into trouble that Star Wars kind of ran into. Is like, look, man, they just tapped off the Infinity Saga, so they kind of have to. Like, so what I'm saying is, I'm not after Black Widow and Thor: Love and Thunder and maybe Doctor Strange and Wanda. I'm not really expecting that much after that. Like,
Well, I think
Did you
I
see-
think one thing they're doing that's smart is they teased it a little bit in Far From Home with multiple universes and the multiverse
yes,
coming out.
you're
there.
gonna have to.
I think you're gonna,
yeah.
the Eternals coming out. I think there's gonna be some wiggle room there to play with different.
Oh my God, what am I
realities.
thinking? The Fantastic Four and the X-Men are coming.
Yeah.
They have plenty of
Yep.
They have plenty of story to go with. I'm sorry, I
Well-
forgot about those guys.
And I hate the. I mean, it doesn't look like it's not going to be a huge blockbuster kind of a film, but I just because they played it in New Mutants. I saw the trailer again for Morbius with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
It does. It looks like a fun movie.
yeah. It looks
And
good.
if you bring in Morbius, you've got room to bring in, kind of those more magic based. I think they're called the Darkhold, which was a lot of magic kind of based Marvel characters. and they would team up with like Doctor Strange. But I think you could do a Ghost Rider kind of wandering hero kind of TV series. Again, resetting Nick Cage is out of it. Bring in someone new, and again, don't make a superhero movie, make a dark justice kind of film.
Yeah, I think they called that
With
Marvel
Ghost Rider.
Knights, didn't they? Didn't they call that
They
Marvel
did. They
Knights?
called it Marvel Knights,
Or
yeah.
Marvel Max or something like that? Yeah.
Well, there's Marvel Max was different. That was rated R comics using like the Punisher and Nick Fury and stuff like that. But Marvel Knights was the dark heroes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With and Blade.
Well, I heard. What do you,
What's going on with Charlie Cox? Is he? I he's
I
sent
hope
back
he's
on to do the
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
I hope he.
I
I
thought
heard they got
he
plans.
signed something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they got plans. And
That's awesome.
out of those Netflix series, I enjoyed Daredevil the most.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It was very well done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ken, have you heard the rumor about what's his face? Harry Potter playing Moon Knight?
No.
Daniel Radcliffe? Really?
Yeah. Which isn't bad. He's a good actor. He actually
He's
is.
great.
He's a great
He's
actor.
yeah, he's great.
I watched his Guns Akimbo on
did
on
you?
Prime. Yeah.
I keep
It's
seeing
on,
that.
it's on my list.
I keep seeing that on like my when I go past it.
Yep.
He's just like
It
this.
is
I'm
an
like,
absolutely ridiculous film,
yeah.
but it really worked. I mean, in the same way that I love it, in the same way I loved
Hardcore Henry.
no.
What was the one with Clive Owen? Shoot? No, it was
Shooter?
Shoot him up.
Where he kills
Shoot
the
'em
guy
up?
with carrot.
yeah.
Oh, Shoot 'em up. You're right. It was Shoot 'em up. Him and
Shoot 'em Up.
Paul Giamatti.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'm trying to. It was upgrade for
Oh,
the guy.
Upgrade.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of that upgrade feel. It was like a mix between Upgrade and Hardcore Henry.
Okay.
A little bit of both. Hardcore Henry, I just struggled with the filmmaking of that. I understand what they were doing, and I get it, but
I know.
I couldn't. I kept getting dizzy.
yeah,
It's hard to watch. It was hard
very
to watch.
Yeah.
Fun, but hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then they tried the one with what was the bald guy? Not Greg.
Vin Diesel.
No, the other guy.
The Rock.
The other guy.
I don't know any other. Greg.
Snatch.
How
From
many other
Snatch.
bald guys are
From
there?
Snatch. Turkish.
Oh,
from Snatch.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
How
Thank you.
dare you,
Oh,
sir? He's
Transporter?
not bald. He actually has hair on there.
You're right. He does, but he's considered. He's like the younger version of Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
He did the one with Adrenaline, where you had
yeah.
Crank. Thank you.
He
Yeah.
had
Frank,
the best
yeah.
name in that. Chef Chilios or something like that. Wasn't that the character's name?
Chevy.
Chelios.
Chev-
He's from the Penguins, isn't he?
No. The character's name in Crank. His name was like Chef Chilios or something like that.
Chill. I'm gonna take a look.
Another good name. You guys remember the movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Absolutely.
Do you know his name in that movie?
No.
Cyborg,
He-
wasn't it?
No, his name is Gibson Riddenbacker.
Gibson Ridden.
And the guy wrote, I guess the guy that wrote Cyborg, he finished it in a weekend listening to hard rock and he, Gibson guitars, and I think Riddenbacker
sure.
is like the strings that they're made of or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah, Rickenbacker.
Yeah, Rickenbacker. Oh, that's his name, Gibson Rickenbacker. So that's what and then the bad guy was Fender something else.
I remember it was Fender. I remember that.
He
And
named it
Chev Chelios.
Chef
which is-
Chelios.
Chev Chilios. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Well,
Nice.
I ran into. Do you remember Soldier with Kurt Russell? Again,
Yes,
a
I do.
Terrible movie
Yeah.
that
I do.
just watched. That was supposed to be a sequel or a spin-off from
Cyborg?
Blade Runner.
Yep.
And somewhere like in between, like in the filming, like in the middle of filming, they lost the rights to make all references to Blade Runners, and so they had to change it.
Yeah.
That's almost what happened to Cyborg.
Yeah. Cyborg was supposed to be a sequel to something else too.
Yeah, Cyborg was supposed to be a sequel to something else and Spider-Man, and they were filming it back to back.
Huh.
It was something like that. They were filming it. It was Spider-Man, right? So he was going to film Spider-Man as Peter Parker. Then they were going to then they were going to stop filming that, and for the next 8 weeks they were going to film
the sequel to, I forgot what movie Cyborg was supposed to be the sequel to, and then they go back when the actor got buffed up to finish Spider-Man. That was the man, that's gonna drive me nuts. I forgot what the sequel is. What Cyborg was supposed to be the sequel to.
I remember reading something, but I can't remember it either.
Yeah, damn.
Back when they were supposed to be making superhero movies in the 90s, and
Yes.
man, they didn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what, guys? We're already a minute 14 into this puppy, so we'll probably close it up here. Ken, this was fun. I want you to come back on, and so we can just talk about a whole bunch of movies and nerd culture, deep dive into it again. Are you cool with that?
Anytime. Absolutely. Anytime
That's
you guys
awesome.
want.
I really appreciate it. So, what, Greg? you said?
Well, because, Ken, do you have any projects that you want to talk about, or anything coming up that we can see in, or?
There's nothing you can see. Well, I mean, the author of The Keeper of the Stars is on Amazon right now. So check that out. That's a little independent film that Greg does some stuff with them too.
I certainly did, yeah.
I would pump the Black Theater Festival is happening in Milwaukee Chamber right now. I'm not doing anything with it, but it's doing some great stuff. You can check out MilwaukeeChambertheater.com for that. Just be thinking about theater. I'm a big theater guy too. I love movies, but I also love theater. We're hurting right now. We need to come back. I know the films are starting to make their way back, but we need the theater to come back too. So
Absolutely.
just keep asking for it. That's all I got.
Just so you know, this is my profile, Ken. If you need me in a movie or anything like that.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. Well, we put Greg in movies, and that's a mug you don't want to be looking at in a dark alley, right? So
no, they
I don't know. He's kind of cuddly.
Have anybody
Kinda
over
cuddly.
6 foot that you know? Well, and then they just throw
not
him
only
in
is he
there.
not only is he over 6 foot, but he's got his own arsenal. So yeah, bring him along.
Oh, I know one thing that Greg and I would like to do. We'd like to play Vikings. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That's hello. I got this.
Yeah.
I
Oh, you
got
should have
it.
saw our beard episode. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had it. We had
Available
it
now.
going.
Ken was the first one. I wore my kilt to church one day, and from 150 yards away, Ken's screaming from the door, "Look at that guy! Freedom!" Easter Sunday. How you doing, Ken?
Love his legs. He's got
All
great-
right, Ken, you want to hang out for the fact of the day?
Absolutely.
Oh,
All
shit.
right.
Back in
Here
the day.
is the fact of the day. Greg, you always like to give our listeners what the fact of the day is random.
It is totally random.
Totally
John
random.
looks it up on a website that he found, and I don't even know the name of. And then, so we don't know. It could be something cool. It could be something totally like, huh, okay. And then we end the show. So
Here we go. Generating the fact is scientists have discovered a brown dwarf star 75 light years away with surface temperatures hovering around 206 degrees Fahrenheit, 97 degrees Celsius. No warmer than a freshly brewed cup of coffee. That can still burn your tongue, man.
coming soon to a Christopher Nolan movie near you.
Yeah, no kidding.
McDonald's would still put a warning on that.
Yeah. Well played, sir.
Yep.
All right. I think that shares it. That ends it for the day. Ken, thank you very much again. Can't wait to have you back on. I love your mic. Both Greg and I love the mic setup. We got to do that, Greg.
We gotta do that.
Yeah. It just is aesthetically, it just looks cool. Yeah.
It makes me feel important.
Yeah. All right,
I
man.
gotta-
Greg, as always, thank you very much, sir, for joining me on this fun-filled adventure. And everybody that listened, when this comes out, I don't know what's coming next, but I hope football's on the weekend. You guys are enjoying your football. Other than that, have a great rest of the weekend. Take care. Johnny and the Craig podcast out.